Do you have an SDR team where the SDRs follow this workflow? They create a list, they sort that list by the last time that they reached out to that person, then they start prospecting that list, cold calls, cold emails, and then they repeat the process all over again. If so, you have poor lead management. Sorry to tell you, but fortunately, you found this video because I'm going to share with you exactly how to improve your lead management, which is going to dramatically improve the performance of your SDR team. Let's dive right in. What your SDR team should really be doing is qualify, categorize, and enrich. Let's go through each one of them, and then I'm going to share with you a little bit more detail at the end of the video operationally on how to manage through all this. The first is qualify. As the rep is cold calling, sending emails, they should be qualifying that that's the right person working at the right company for them to be reaching out to. This should be done while the phone is ringing, or if they only do emails, it should be as they're sending the emails. The next thing is categorize. See, they get all this information about whether this is a good or a bad fit, and then they start calling and reaching out, and they get a lot of information. The person answers the phone, they don't answer the phone, it wasn't the right person. They need to be categorizing their leads, so then that way things that are less effective are in a bucket where they're less effective, and the things that are the most effective are in a bucket where they're most effective. So then that way over time, they can start prioritizing their own workflow accordingly. I'll explain that more at the end of this video. And then number 3 here is enrich. You need your SDRs collecting information that you can't get on their website, things you can't get with a data provider, and putting that into your CRM so that the value of your leads, the value of your list is improving over time. Again, I'm going to dive into that in more detail in a minute here. What you don't want is the SDRs having full control of the list, creating their own list and trying to figure out exactly who they should be talking to. Leadership needs to own the list. Hopefully I don't have to convince you of that, but if you need a little bit of a nudge, it's an incredibly valuable asset to your organization. It's the entire market that you target in one place, so that way you can actually run marketing, run cold calling, do outreach to those people. Are you kidding me? This is so valuable. We can't let an SDR who's fresh out of college or with minimal experience take ownership of that part of the business. It's irresponsible. What I want is them to help us go through that list and improve it, so that way over time, as we hire more SDRs, as we hire more sales reps, these things are improving so that our business becomes more valuable because we have a better understanding of our market and our leads. So how do you categorize these leads? There's a couple of buckets that I typically use, and I want you to build these out in the CRM under lead status. So if your CRM doesn't have this already, create a custom field called lead status, but most CRMs have this. The first one is open. These are brand new leads. No one has processed them. No one has qualified them, gone through them at all. There hasn't been an activity made against them by a sales rep or an SDR. These are brand new leads. That's where they all go. Lead status, open. The next one is working. Lead status, working. Working leads are ones that we've called, we've emailed, and we haven't gotten a hold of anybody yet. We've gone through them enough to know that they're not disqualified. We haven't actually spoken to that person. The next one here is prospect. These are leads where they actually answered the phone or replied to an email. So we know that there's a channel that they do respond in, whether it be email, LinkedIn, cold call. That's incredibly valuable, and you want to collect them in a bucket called prospect, so that way we can continue to reach out to those people, because just because they're interested now doesn't mean they're not going to be interested in a couple of months or in a year from now. The next bucket is meeting booked. This is where leads go when they've actually booked a meeting with you. Then you have disqualified. This is a lead status where you put leads that did not qualify. Either the company didn't qualify, so then all the leads are in there, or that specific lead doesn't work there anymore, or they're just not the right decision maker. And then finally, bad data. These are just leads where the data is wrong, incorrect, and we want to enrich those over time. Now, as the SDR categorizes these leads, a couple of things happen. One, their workflow becomes more distributed to leads that are in the prospect bucket, meaning they have engaged with us before in the past. This means that we're starting to build some familiarity with that particular prospect. Another thing that happens is you have this information. So when you bring on new SDRs, or if an SDR leaves, you can redistribute their leads based on the buckets. So that way, you know, hey, we have all of these folks that we have connected with before on the past. Let's give those to SDR2. So then that way they can spend more of their time calling those type of leads, because we have evidence that they answer a phone or they reply to an email. Now, I want to talk a bit about how the SDR should be enriching these leads beyond these categories, which is something that I call secondary intel. These are data points that you cannot get on a website, you can't get from a data provider, that you want your SDR collecting while they're doing outreach, whether it be they connected with somebody or they got a reply from an email. There's certain data points that are really useful. Now, every organization is different, so let me just give you a couple of common ones that I see. The first one is the contract expiration date. So if they're under contract with a competitor, when does that contract expire? Imagine if you had that information for all of your leads in your database. That'd be incredibly valuable, right? Because you could start calling people a couple of months before their contract expire, and you might be able to win that business. So that's one example. Another example would be their actual tech stack. Maybe there's some tools that they use that you can't get from a data provider that you're going to want to find out when you call and talk to these people. You're going to want the SDRs to be collecting that information, so that way you can start building lists around tool, and gives you another angle when you're calling because you already are familiar with the tech stack that that company is using. And last example I'll give you here are company departments. Some companies have departments that are very unique, and maybe your tool you need to sell into a very unique department. It'd be nice to know that that company has a department, and you usually can't figure that out by going to a data provider easily. You need to do more manual research, have the SDR collecting that information. If you have your SDRs doing those three things, qualify, categorize, and enrich, what you're going to find is that every single month your list gets a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, thank God we collected all of that information, because now we're able to create much stronger lists. We have a lot more productivity out of our team, and we have a better understanding of our market and how contactable that market actually is. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions, put them in the comment below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk soon.